Hello, and welcome to our first GDTA Spotlight session in 2022. My name is Uli Weinberg. I'm the director of the School of Design Thinking in Potsdam in Germany, and also the current president of the Global Design Thinking Alliance. And I'm really happy to welcome all of you to the new year and also to our new Spotlight session here in the new year. Spotlight session is meant to be an open forum for discussion. We are always inviting interesting people from the GDTA network, but also some external guests we had also through the past year. And it's a monthly activity where we spend an hour together, half an hour with presentation, or a little bit more in this case here, because we have 3 people presenting, and then start a discussion with all of you. So it's meant to be on purpose, not a webinar, not a kind of one-to-many thing. It's yes, there's a little presentation at the beginning, but it's also meant to have an exchange with all of you, with the design thinking community around the globe. And I'm really happy to see Global Design Thinking Alliance members from different parts of the world. I see Joanne from New York joining here. Hello. I see Raluca from Romania. I see Alexander also. He's not I think he's not a GDTA member, but from Russia. Very interesting. And André Breskis from Cologne. Great to see you. And I for sure miss Richard Paris from South Africa, and also I've seen from Stockholm, Mats, yeah, Stockholm Open Lab. Great to see you all, and we are welcoming today our friends from Chile, from the Universidad Mayor, and I checked the calendar. I was trying to find out when was our first get together. And I'm happy that Selina Meyer from the HPI Academy is also joining, because she knows best. She did a part of the training also some years ago. I found out in 2018. Am I right, Selina?
Yes, that's, I think, when we started.
Yeah, then when we started the cooperation, and you got in touch with us from Universidad Mayor. You wanted to start the first Latin American D-School, and that is what you are talking about today. And I think that is very interesting for a lot of people around the planet who are thinking about different activities, about similar activities, actually, also to start a design thinking courses or a design thinking program within a university. And I'm sure Isabella Stranger and Gastón Roca and Yael Gitman can tell us a lot with the support of Carlos Munoz, who is also joining from Universidad Mayor. They can tell us a lot, because Isabella and Gastón and Yael are all 3 professors at the school, at the university, and they're all deeply involved in the design thinking program. Oops, there's some echo. There's the iPad from Selina. Now it's gone. Good. And yeah, they are all professors and program managers, and in business administration. Gastón is a screenwriter, director. He's a person deeply involved in film and television. Yael is program manager and also a professor as a psychotherapist, a master in sports medicine. So we have a highly diverse group of teachers here, of professors, let me call you, and that is probably also representing your approach, because multidisciplinarity is something we are celebrating since 15 years now at the School of Design Thinking in Potsdam, and I will never get rid of that. I'm fully convinced after 15 years now that the collaboration between highly diverse disciplines is really key to come up with new and highly sustainable innovations in the future. So I think you can tell us a lot about your journey and what are you currently doing. I'm really curious to learn about the whole ups and downs, the hills and the valleys you were going through, and I'm also really interested in what you're currently developing and your future ideas. So please welcome together with me Isabella Stranger, Gastón Roca, and Yael Gitman. Please, the stage is yours.
Thank you.
I might ask all of you to switch off your video. I do the same to make sure that we have all of the presenters being visible. What you can also do, I forgot to tell you, sorry, what I forgot to tell you is that in your video settings, you can hide the non-video participants, and then that makes your view even better and more focused on the speaker. So now the stage is yours.
Thank you, Uli, very much for that introduction. Okay, so welcome everybody again on behalf of the entire D-School team here at Universidad Mayor. I'm very thankful that you guys are here, and we're here to present to you and walk you through our journey as the first Latin American D-School. So before we jump straight into the journey, I would first like to give you some context as to where we are located and a bit more information about our university. So we are broadcasting live here from Chile. It's noon right now, and for those of you who don't remember, Chile is a very long and narrow country in South America on the west coast. And despite the fact that we're surrounded by the Pacific Ocean and the Andes Mountains, we feel very much connected to the world, and that is in large part due to design thinking. So as Uli said, my name is Yael Gitman. I am program manager, and with Gastón and Isabella, we are going to share with you some of the highlights of this journey. So I want to share a bit more information about the university. The university has two headquarters. The first one is in Santiago, Chile's capital, and the second headquarters is located in Temuco, which is a city a bit southern from Santiago. The university holds 8 campuses in total, 7 of which are located in Santiago, and 1 is located in Temuco. Overall, the university holds more than 17,000 undergraduate students with 60 undergraduate programs, 12 research centers, more than 3,500 postgraduate students distributed into 70 postgraduate programs and 6 technological centers. So it's a big university, it has a lot of students. And now that you know a little bit of information about the university, I would really like to jump into how the D-School was created, how it went from being just an idea to being an actual project. So for those of you who don't know, the slogan of the university is for entrepreneurial spirits. That means, in other words, that the university seeks to educate students and professionals into, not just in terms of knowledge, but also to become more confident, creative people, able to work well with others and collaborate and actually become agents of change in the country and in the world. So on that note, the first stepping stone of the journey happened in the year 2017, where we gained inspiration to develop the project. And that happened when our then Vice President for Management and Development went to a summit where he first heard about design thinking and heard about the HPI. So they met, and after a lot of conversations and after some time passed, a small team from the HPI visited the university in Chile in 2018 to meet the university and get a sense of the country and get a feeling of the university's soundness behind the idea of establishing the first D-School. And so after a lot of work and visits, the D-School was formally established in 2019. But between the year 2018 and 2019, there was a lot of work between the teams of the HPI and the Universidad Mayor to actually make sense out of the integration of the D-School inside the university. And after that process, they came to a driver question that was key for the entire process, which was, how could design thinking enable the whole community to engage in a collaborative process to openly and creatively confront problems? So this question was key for the process because we needed to make sense out of this new integration. And after a lot of ideation and a lot of work, they actually came with a very solid answer. And here you have the actual post-it that was on the walls of that workshop. And it says, we believe that design thinking fosters the required character, skills, and motivation to develop an entrepreneurial spirit, to enable people and students to add value to society by tackling complex problems. So this was a fundamental statement that served the university to transmit to all the community what design thinking was about and what the value was of design thinking for our university. So ever since the D-School was formally created in early 2019, we've been putting a lot of effort into making design thinking as contagious as possible for every member. What we aim to do as a community is bring all members of the university together around design thinking to spread the value of the tool and also the spirit. And this is very important to us because it wasn't just about organizing events and activities and workshops to teach the method, but it was also about slowly showing students, professors, and authorities that they could achieve a lot more when tackling problems in a collaborative way, and actually practice that empathy and that collaboration everywhere in all the classrooms and not just during design thinking workshops. When we talk about this school community, we can think about three subgroups of people. So first we have the team, which is all of the certified design thinking coaches that are within the university and work at the D-School. We also have the alumni group, which is a much larger group of people that includes students, professors, everybody who has participated in our activities through time. But we also include here people and organizations that are outside the university that have partnered up with us for any of our projects. And last but not least, there's our network, which includes you guys, all members of the GDTA, and we would very much like to continue to collaborate and participate in the international events and just keep connecting and learning from different D-Schools around the world, because we are a fairly new D-School and we have a long journey still ahead of us. Before we talk about our team, I want to explain that we've had two certification processes by the HPI. The first generation of coaches happened in early 2019, and then we had a second certification process in July of the same year, which made up a total of 32 current coaches inside the university. That could be that we can break up into the core team coaches, which are the full-time coaches that work at the D-School. We also have part-time coaches, which are coaches that work part-time at their schools or their units inside the university and work part-time at the D-School. And we also have our freelance coaches. And the D-School has 5 development areas, all of them led and managed by the core team of coaches. And these areas are academic programs, professional programs, publishing, inner lab, and community. So during this presentation, we would like to summarize and give you some of the highlights of what we have been doing for the past 3 years. So our core team, in our core team, we are 5 program managers. There's Gastón, Isabella, Cesar, Jimena, and myself, but we also work with Carlos. He's our right hand in everything that we do. He is our administrative and tech support. So we 5 program managers lead the 5 development areas. And one thing that we love about our team is the interdisciplinarity that we practice. As Uli said in the beginning, we try to stay very true to the methodology and the spirit of design thinking, in that we knew that we needed to bring together people from very different backgrounds and different fields to make the D-School bigger and better. So you see, Isabella, for instance, comes from business administration. Gastón is a TV and film director. Cesar is a strategic designer. Jimena also comes from business administration. I'm a physiotherapist. And Carlos also comes from physical education. So very diverse group of people, and it's been very interesting to work that way. Our extended team of coaches, we have the part-time coaches. We have Juanita, Patricia, Barbara, Alvaro, Manuel, and Jorge, all work in their schools within the university. And we also have our freelance coaches. So again, we're very lucky to have a very diverse team of coaches, because all of them work in different units and schools. For instance, Juanita works in the musical department. She teaches undergraduate students in music. Javiera works in the physical therapy school. And Francis works in the publicity department of the university. And these are examples, but they all work in different areas. And we work together in that they not only help us spread design thinking into everything that they do, but they act also as our eyes and our ears to sense what needs are not being met in the university that we could help with. So we have a really great team. I'd like to show you a bit of what we have been doing to give some life to our community. One of the first initiatives that I would like to show you is called Creative Thursdays by D-School. It's been a very fun cycle of activities because these are open and free activities that happen monthly for all internal and external members of the university. So it's twice a month, and it happens on Thursdays. And we offer free workshops or shorter workshops, usually 4-hour or 8-hour design thinking workshops, and some theme workshops. For instance, we've offered the mural workshop, how to use virtual warm-ups, how to create journey maps, and we try to pick topics that we feel might be useful for the public, such as teachers and students, things that we know that it might be in use for them. So it's been a very successful initiative. We've also offered to the community a lot of webinars and talks. Here are some of them. The first one is Design Thinking, Potential and Hybrid Work, where we organized it and invited 2 colleagues from the HPI, maybe you know them, Renata Landa and Maria Jose Juarez, who very kindly agreed to come and give this talk in our community, and we were very thankful. It was a great opportunity to hear from them and what they have been doing. We've also had the talk Applied Empathy, Best Practice Cases, and how to stimulate collaborative creativity, the use of warm-ups and mural. Again, topics that we feel might be very useful for everybody. Another great activity we had is called D-School Illumina, which is a one-day event open to all university members. And particularly, this is really good because it's booked in the academic calendar. This is a document that is available for everybody in the university, so everybody knows when this is going to happen during the year. So it gives us high expectations on how many people we are going to receive. And this year it was very successful. It's about the participant choosing between parallel virtual activities, such as workshops or webinars, all led by our D-School coaches. Also really, really great activities. And this is a most recent activity that we did in November of the past year. This was the first on-site type of activity that we did after the pandemic. And it was great because we did parallel workshops on-site with students of first and second year of different programs. And the challenge overall for all of the workshops was to redesign the experience of going back to campus classes in a post-pandemic context. And this was great because the students got to get to know each other, and they had fun, and it was a very good transition between going virtual to preparing them to go back to classes. So it was very successful. About 70 students participated in this. It was great. So I'm going to give the presentation over to Isabella, who's going to talk a bit more about academic programs.
Thank you very much, Yael. Well, to talk about academic programs, I need you to follow me back to 2019 after we finished our training program as design thinking coaches with the HPI team. So as this school, we had this very challenging question: how might we transmit design thinking to our students? How might we spread everything we learned among our students? And the answer, or part of the answer, was this: University Academic Skills course. Just for you to know, this is a mandatory course for all freshmen from all academic undergraduate programs. And well, a little bit of this course, the learning goal here is to identify personal resources in order to generate solutions to face difficulties in an academic context. Some of the topics included in this course are time management, self-regulated learning, self-care strategies, procrastination and planning, among others. So this specific course was the perfect entrance gate to reach students and transmit design thinking mindset and process. So what we did was to add a half-day workshop to the regular activities. And well, in 2019, we ran more than 50 workshops in the context of this course, most of them on Saturday in the morning in 4 different locations, including both cities, Santiago and Temuco, most of the time working simultaneously, using nearly full coaches capacity. It was huge effort. And as a result, we reached nearly 1,900 first-year students during the academic year. And this was an excellent opportunity to learn and iterate, of course, aspects that worked very well, logistics, coaches and facilitation techniques. Actually, we had the chance to practice what we learned in our Train the Trainers program with the HPI team. Also worked very well physical spaces and materials, just to mention a few. Something we had to improve was the fact that design thinking was just an extra activity, and it was an isolated workshop. And of course, one of the questions that came up was about the connection between this workshop and the rest of the topics of this course. So one new idea was to work with the learning goal of this course. And so at the end of our first year, the next question was, how might we scale design thinking inside the curriculum? And when I say scale, I'm not talking just about more students. I'm talking about to make sense inside the curriculum. Therefore, next iteration included important modifications, such as instead of changing the learning goal of this course, we use design thinking to address the learning goal. We transformed the design thinking workshop into 6 sessions, 1 per week, so they fit into the class schedule. And students and coaches didn't have to go on Saturday anymore. The challenge the students worked with was redesign the learning experience at Universidad Mayor. And I should say we had a lot of help. We were supported by the General Training Nucleus, which is a unit in charge of this course. We got help from curriculum designers and also instructional designers. However, the strategy was not complete because we had to reach 2,000 freshmen divided in 60 sections. And the coaches, we were not enough in number. So we needed a task force inside each classroom. Then we realized that a very powerful partner should be invited to this game. And I'm talking about the professors. That's how we created a 3-day course for professors in charge of this course. So they could learn a little bit more about design thinking process, tools, mindset, and also practice. In addition, we collected everything we learned from HPI and other sources about design thinking and developed a support materials kit. So professors were empowered enough to carry out the 6 modules by themselves on site. We provided a workbook with templates and explanations, a document with theory, a full PowerPoint, and also a guide to use it, and a detailed agenda for each module. So we were super prepared to start on March 2020 on site. And guess what happened? Coronavirus came, of course, as you know, right? So we quickly transformed the 6 face-to-face sessions into a virtual experience after performing several trials with different collaborative platforms. We were looking for something easy to work with. We started with Jamboard, which is super simple. And also Blackboard Collaborate for online sessions. That was the platform that professors were used to work with. We also trained the professors on this new way to conduct their students in a virtual way with emphasis on virtual teamwork. We learned a lot from this journey working with professors and still do. I'm proud to say that 160 professors at Universidad Mayor have already taken this course. We started 2022 with our 3rd version of this course for professors, and 36 new professors from 19 different schools and disciplines. And they are right now learning about design thinking with us. It is 100% online, and it combines synchronous sessions and self-guided content. But not all the efforts were oriented to professors. Thanks to very, very motivated core and freelance coaches, D-School Mayor was able to redesign different courses in several academic programs. As you can see here, we are a team, and part of our mindset is to look for opportunities to improve academic programs with design thinking as a strategy to address learning goals, redesign teaching methods, and redesign the way professors connect with their students. So that's a little bit about academic program. And now I'm handing the presentation over to Gastón. He's going to share with you our experience working with partners.
Yes. Hello. Thank you, Isabella. Yes, I'm going to walk you through a brief overview of what our InnerLab has been doing and hopefully will be doing. InnerLab's aim is to further install design thinking inside the university as a whole. And in that regard, it interacts with faculties, teachers, collaborators, students, and project partners. During these 3 years, we have worked and developed workshops and activities with both private and public institutions in Chile and abroad. Among the private institutions, we have worked with Pfizer Lab, with SAP, with Walmart, with 3M. And among the public institutions, we have worked with United Nations, Corfo, which is a state institution to develop entrepreneurship, and Codelco, for instance, which is the biggest mining company in Chile, which is, as some of you know, a big mining country. One of the projects that we have done in these past years that we wanted to show you is the Global Design Thinking Summit, which took place in 2020. This was a big challenge for us because it involved a lot of planning, a lot of logistics, because we had almost 3,000 participants in a 3-day workshop from 14 countries. We had 18 speakers from all over the world. We worked in 8 time zones. We had 8 workshops, 5 talks, and 11 open activities. The participants were students, teachers, entrepreneurs, and associations, and they worked in specific topics regarding education, public policies, business, and social issues, needs, opportunities. And this is a slide that shows you some of the outcome of this Global Design Thinking Summit 2020. Another interesting project was Pfizer School. This is a project we developed with Pfizer Lab, and it was guided to patient advocacy groups. Pfizer wants to strengthen their relationship, their network with these important groups, patient advocacy groups. And regarding that, they approached us to see if with the data they have and working that data with the patient advocacy groups, new opportunities, needs, ideas could arise to make this network stronger. And so we designed a workshop that had 4 main topics: health management, digital trend, innovation opportunities, and story construction. We had participants from Chile, from Ecuador, and from Peru. And this added a little difficulty because not all legislations match, of course. So we had to be a little specific in some of the instances regarding the different legislation that these patient advocacy groups would have to work in. A whole overview of our workshop is this one. We had 3 weeks dedicated to health management issues, 2 weeks to digital trends, 2 weeks to innovation opportunities, and the last 3 weeks to make the project as a whole, and also communicate it, how to communicate what we are proposing. And that is labeled story construction. And this is a slide of some of the participants of one of the days the workshop took place. Another interesting project was one we were invited to by United Nations. And the challenge of the project was make Guadalajara, a big city in Mexico, a safer city for women. This was the aim of the workshop. And we had 30 participants divided in 5 teams in 2 successive workshops, and we worked on 5 projects. Mostly, the coaches were mostly women, some were men, but all the participants were women. And so the motto was women design for women, women design for to make cities safer for other women. And this is one of the murals we worked on. And this is one of the prototypes that came out of that workshop. Another interesting project for us was FIC. FIC is a state fund that aims to help small businesses around the country. This year, it was focused on the poorest communes of Angol and Victoria, which are 2 cities around 600 kilometers south of Santiago, the capital. And 150 participants applied to this grant, to this fund. We worked with them for 6 months. We conducted virtual workshops. And afterwards, FIC selected 20 projects of these 150. And with these 20 selected projects, we held one on-site workshop which challenge was make the user experience better. So this was a very interesting project for us to be able to collaborate in helping people that live from the land to make a better living of what they do, what they know how to do. And this is a slide of the on-site workshop we held with the 20 selected projects that obtained the funds, the grant from the FIC. And the last project we wanted to show you now is one that came from the university. It arises from the university. The Universidad Mayor Business School approached us to see if we could help them in a way to define new opportunities for the development and strengthening of postgraduate courses in the Universidad Mayor Business School. So we designed a sprint format that consisted of 5 workshop sessions and asynchronous work in between the sessions. The teams went out into the field, spoke to teachers, spoke to students, to directives. They held focus groups, and they did a big investigation of the users they were relating to. And afterwards, the workshop delivered a proposal of the way to improve the offer of postgraduate courses in the Universidad Mayor Business School. So these are some of the projects we have been involved in the recent past. For this year, 2022, and regarding this aim, that is to further install design thinking inside the Universidad Mayor, we designed innovation sprints. These innovation sprints are focused on faculties, collaborators, project partners, and students. We will be holding 4 annual workshops. And the interesting twist, if you want, is that we will work with specific challenges that come from collaborators, from faculties, project partners, or students. They will arise from them, and we will help them make significant innovation improvement to problems or needs that they communicate to us that they have. We will divide them in 8 teams per workshop, and each workshop will last 20 hours with also asynchronous work in between. So this is a brief overview of what we have done, what we are going to do in our lab, hopefully, if everything goes well. And thank you for your attention, and I will give the presentation back to Yael.
Thank you, Gastón, for that. I would like to have a short break now, because I want to give you an overview of what we have been talking about in this presentation. So we started out by sharing with you the origins of the D-School, gave you information about the university, our first steps as a D-School. We've shared with you about our community, who our coaches are, what events we have been organizing during this past time. Isabella talked about the academic programs, curriculum integration, and some details about the teacher course in design thinking. And also Gastón talked about the projects, our partners, and the sprint, and what is yet to come in Inner Lab. But I feel like there's maybe a question from you to us that we haven't answered, and that is, how do we feel about the journey? And to make it as simple as possible, we feel like the journey has been a ride, because very much so like a roller coaster. We knew that as a team, we were about to embark in a very challenging task that was to bring design thinking into the culture, into its core, into its DNA. So we were very excited and nervous, and there were a lot of ups and downs and unexpected turns, but overall a lot of moments of joy and satisfaction with this project, because we always try to keep in mind that the goal in the end is try to make meaningful changes in our educational process. So it's been a really great journey. I want to share also some learning outcomes that have happened during this past few years. So things that have worked well has been, for instance, the university's support for the overall D-School project. That has been very, very important. Also, having clear goals is something that has been very crucial to keep things going and the process going. And also the team's stamina, which is something that has gotten us through very difficult times, such as the world pandemic and transforming everything into virtual. So we've been very lucky to have a really good and powerful team. Some obstacles during the way have been mostly in the beginning with the translation from English to Spanish, because there are some English words that don't really translate exactly to Spanish, and we really struggle to transmit design thinking in Spanish to everybody. We also struggled to renew some misguided assumptions in that design thinking was just playing games. But we really succeeded, I feel, in showing everybody that design thinking is a fun but very serious game with very real and meaningful outcomes. We also had to break old habits in that we had to push sometimes for the teams to become more active instead of being more passive in our workshops and our general activities. There are some ideas that became very important in the process. Isabella already mentioned that we as coaches are not enough in number to bring the design thinking project into every classroom. So the teachers are really our task force here. We really need to empower them in the design thinking tools because they are face-to-face with students every day and they are a key part of this process. We also know that our community is mostly Spanish speaking, so we need to create Spanish resources of design thinking to make it more accessible for everybody. And we also have some open-ended questions, of course, that we still don't have answers to, but we know we have time for that. Some of them are, how might we further include design thinking in the university's culture? How might we measure impact of design thinking in our students? How might we make a difference in our country? There's a long list of questions. We don't have answers to all of them, but we're still in the journey. So what are our next steps? We would like to continue to grow our community, not only inside the university, but also to reach to other D-schools in the world and continue to collaborate. We also want to continue to integrate design thinking in the curriculum and help every student go through the design thinking experience. Also, we want to help inner units of the university to tackle their own specific challenges through the help of the inner lab experience. And we want to create Spanish content on design thinking to, as I said, make it more accessible for everybody. So before we go, I want to leave with you a very short video of our coaches. I want to share with you what our D-School means to them in 3 words.
For me, D-School means creativity, collaboration, and empathy.
Empowerment, community, flexibility.
It's collaboration, innovation, and also fun.
Always is different.
Out of the box, innovation, and creativity.
Reality changing collaboration.
Freedom, solutions, and ideas.
Means to me an interdisciplinary work, creativity, and teamwork.
Enhance change and lifestyle.
Talent, teamwork, and future.
School means to me a space for creativity.
Respect, teamwork, agility.
So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. And here is our social media information for us to stay in touch. So thank you very much. And I will close this to be open for questions from everybody.
Thank you very much. First, Yael, Gastón, and Isabella, and also Carlos. Thanks a lot. Big applause from our side. You can now, on the auditorium, you're now invited to switch on your video and also your microphone if you want to say something, or raise your hand if you have a question. Raise your physical hand or your virtual hand. I hope you all know that in reactions down at the bottom at the menu, you find the raising your hand. And yeah, thanks a lot for your tour de force for your journey, which is highly creative. I'm really impressed what you were coming up with and how many people are running through your courses and what kind of diversity you're setting up and what kind of reach out to the professorship you got. I would be really happy if we would have the same reach out to the professors at the HPI, not to speak of the University of Potsdam, which is about a similar size with about 20,000 students. But we are working very hard, and it's not that easy to really convince to get them involved. But yeah, thanks to all 3 of you or 4 of you for your engagement and your enthusiasm and your continuous working with the other colleagues to make them also, bring them also on the design thinking path. So I try to change I switch to gallery mode now, and I would recommend that you do the same thing here so that you can see who has switched on the video. I'm happy that Marcelo is joining from Argentina. Marcelo, we just talked a few days ago. I'm happy that you are taking the invitation and taking the chance, and you're talking about your activities to set up or to bring design thinking also since quite a while into your school. Yeah, maybe there are some questions. I don't see a hand up yet. Please feel free to switch on your video. Yeah, there's Joanne, Andrea, I think was the first, is that right?
Yeah, maybe. So again, thanks for this great presentation. As in the chat, and why your design, the overall design of the presentation, it's a proof that good design does not stop at the surface. It goes deep into the how works a university and how can you make university work better. And I would really consider you experts in this and making a university better. As such, as experts, I would really like to ask you some questions. Most of us are facing the challenging task to get back into presence. A matter of fact, our president has said summer term in Cologne will be 100% presence, no matter what. And now we have to reacquire to this. And you did your project in November about changing the culture, changing the experience of getting back to classes. What did you did there? What is your main takeaway? Which digital tools would you recommend? Would you stay with mural? Would you come back to post-its? What is your big learning about this? Because I really consider you as experts in this now.
Yes, thank you very much, Andre, for your question. Well, I would think that, well, that experience was very, very interesting because we got not only us as coaches to be back in action again on site, but the students were very grateful. And I think the thing that we took home from that is that in order for them to transit into a normal and back to school life, they first needed to decompress. They first needed to see each other face to face and not mainly just talk about school and the academic process, but actually touch base with the more inner parts of themselves as human beings, because it has changed people. What's happened in the world, it's changed people, and they really needed to decompress. And I think that the first step into going back to school was just that, just meeting and learning the social cues again. You know, they were very rusty in social cues and just social engaging. So they felt very tense at first, and they left very relaxed, very much looking forward to the start and the beginning of the year. So I would say just sort of like a decompressing and social environment and relaxed environment to show themselves and to show everybody that they are still very much the same, only they need to regain the confidence that they maybe have lost from all this time being behind the computer. But yeah, they were very nervous at first, and then they were very relaxed. So it was great.
Yeah, that's great. Again, would you recommend a mix of digital tools like Mural or Miro for whiteboarding, for idea creation, or would you say get away with these digital tools, go back to sticky notes and really have this hectical experience? Which is your recommendation?
I would like to say something about that. Well, as I presented, we worked at first with Jamboard, which is a Google platform. This is a very simple whiteboard that you can add. You can add pictures and post-its and draw, just like that, just that. We chose that because it was easy to learn to work with, especially for professors. So, and it also, yeah, you have to, okay, in my opinion, when you are trying to work with design thinking in a virtual format, I think we miss the focus. We try to use very sophisticated platforms with a lot of features, with a lot of, I don't know, funny stuff, but perhaps participants get confused and they try to learn to use the platform instead of living the experience of design thinking workshops. So first, you have to be aware that the platform is just a support, a visual support, in my opinion. After I say that, I should recommend it. I think the platform depends of if you are working with a lot of students or just a small team. If you're working with several teams at the same time and you're just the only professor or the only facilitator, you can use Miro, which is allows you to this unlimited board, so you can have all the teams working simultaneously on the same board. But for small teams, I would recommend Mural, which is you can share facilitating superpowers to others, which is something that you cannot do with Miro. So you can have a lot of coaches working with their teams, with their own mural, and all with facilitator powers, and it helps a lot. But again, I think the platform, it's just a support. You can also work with the whiteboard in Zoom, and it can work very well too.
I would like to add something there to Andres, one part of the question, and that is that I personally believe, and I think we all do in our team, that it will be a hybrid mode in the future. It's very, very likely that we will still use virtual platforms mixed with on-site workshops. For instance, for asynchronous work, it's perfect to do, if you have a long workshop, to do work in between sessions. It's a very useful tool. So it probably in the future will be a mixture of both on-site and virtual.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Very well.
Thanks. Joanne, was that your hand raised?
Yes, thank you, Uli. And you know, first of all, thank you for a fantastic presentation. I was very, very impressed. And some of my question you already answered, but I guess the general question, and Uli mentioned it also, is getting faculty buy-in, you know, getting the faculty to participate. You know, you mentioned in terms of making it easy for them and also the timing. So can you tell us a little more? I'm sure a lot of us would like to learn how you got the faculty to really participate in this.
That is the same question what got also addressed by Alexander, who Alexander Santana, who's from Brazil. He was also very curious about how did you convince all the professors to work with design thinking? Is the president leadership of the university involved also? That was his question. And also, is your content for the professors training shareable with other universities? So that relates to what Joanne was asking.
Yes, well, this is actually a very interesting question, and we have been iterating on the way that we spread the word about design thinking among the professors. So at first, we offered this design thinking course to all the professors who want to learn a little bit more about design thinking. And we had, I don't know, 20 or 15 professors interested on that. But this year, it was a little bit different because as university, we realized that our students need to develop creative thinking, critical thinking. So those are the skills that are needed today, and they're going to be needed in the future. So we changed our storytelling to reach the professors, to make sense to them, because we believe that design thinking is also a very good strategy to solve complex problems, but also has this both abilities attached to the method, right? Creative thinking and critical thinking. So what we told them was that we could help them with a new strategy to develop critical thinking and creative thinking with their students using design thinking to address that goal. And that's how this year we had 49 interested professors, and in such a short time to apply for the course because we had a limited seats. Because we want to guarantee high quality of this course. So we have on all our synchronous sessions very personalized dedication to all our professors. So we had limited coaches and limited seats, and we had we were, I don't know the expression, but we got more students than we were expecting. I think that's it. I don't know if the rest of the team want to add something about that.
I would say it's an ongoing job.
Yeah.
We are always on it. And part of what we show you about this inner lab designed to solve real problems inside the university is one of the tools we are using to engage people to really feel that design thinking is a useful tool, because that will naturally bring them into it.
Yeah. I can add from our perspective. Currently, we are running a workshop at the HPI, design thinking workshop with our IT department at the HPI, because they are facing some severe problems in terms of the institute is growing and the team is not growing, and they were actually asking through the administration if we could help them to solve their problem. So that is not with the teachers, that is actually the administration was reaching out, and I like that very much. And we just yesterday we had the second workshop of a row of three. So and that also proves there is a big problem solving capacity in design thinking, which can help yourself, you know. And Mats, so I hope we addressed all the questions which were also coming from Coleman from Ireland, and from Alexandre, who still cannot turn on his microphone. So what are the first 3 actions that you could recommend in order to introduce design thinking in a university with the same size of yours? The first 3 actions, that is also an interesting question. So before we move to Mats.
Well, I would say that first you have to live the experience to understand what design thinking is about. You don't, if you read a book, it's of course interesting. If you watch a TED Talk, of course it's super interesting, but it is different if you live the experience because you can realize and you can also identify different uses that you can, different aspects of your own discipline that you can work with design thinking. So if you talk with someone, for example, from biochemistry, and that person don't live the experience, perhaps will not be able to see the value of design thinking. So first, to live the experience, maybe run little workshops with professors, faculties, or directors to spread a little bit of the mindset, and also start with 1 unit, 1 school, 1 course, and I think the word would be spread.
Yeah, I want to add to that. Thanks. I loved your answer, Isabel. I want to just add that I would say also a good advice would be to think long term, very long term, because these things that we've been doing are not most of the mandatory. It's actually something that is open, and we've been getting a lot more people involved just because of the the feedback from students to their own teachers. Hey, I went to this design thinking workshop, I loved it. Even teachers have, even if they didn't go to the teacher course, they participated in open activities, and they want more. So it's been a gradual process, and we also know that convincing everybody from one day to another is not going to be possible. So try to think long term. And again, as Isabella said, try pilots and iterate, start from one unit, run one class, and try to grow bigger from that. Don't expect big changes in a very short term.
Thanks for the answer. And now to Mats from Stockholm. Open Lab.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for a very, very interesting talk. I'm super impressed by the size that you have reached so quickly, only after a few years. And I agree with you that faculty is much harder to. So I'm even more interested in everything else about this inner lab and so, because faculty is much more conservative. I think it was smart for you to reach out to first-year students and so on. That's interesting. But two questions really. The first one to Gastón, you said hybrid. With hybrid, do you mean some sessions online and some sessions on campus, or do you with hybrid mean a mix within the session? Some participants are online and some are on campus in the same session. That was the first question. And the other question is to Isabella about storytelling, also how to get faculty interested. And you said that you marketed it, so to speak, with calling it creative thinking. I understand that, but you also said critical thinking, and critical thinking is sort of a reserved word for other types of analysis. How did the word critical thinking fare among faculty?
Yes, thank you, Mats, for your question. I was really, I mean, we all know this is always developing, so you could get maybe even on-site hybrid workshops. But what I was really thinking about is that teams can work together and keep in touch through virtual platforms, for instance, in between workshop sessions. I think it's a marvelous tool, the internet, to keep teams working together in those periods that they are not on site. So I was really thinking about that. So it would be a mixture, but not in the same session. That's the way I was seeing it, at least.
And about my question, well, thank you for that. Of course, we are not, okay. Sorry, I have to find the correct words in my head in English. So, but what we say is that, of course, creative thinking, and that's very obvious, right? And about critical thinking, because there are a lot of methods that you use inside each phase of the process that leads the team to analyze, synthesize, reflect, conclude, right, infer. So those are parts of critical thinking. Perhaps we don't offer to develop a full critical thinking, the full ability, of course not, but we can help that. We can train students to think critically when they are working on each phase and in different projects.
Thanks. Maybe I could have a quick follow-up question. Again, about teaching faculty, what was the least liked aspects from a faculty perspective, if you made a course evaluation of that? What did they like the least?
I'm sorry, I don't know if I understood very well the question. Yeah, could you please help me?
if
what they like the least. ¿Qué es lo que menos les gustó a la facultad?
Okay. Thank you. I'm so sorry. I have to improve my listening. Okay, the least liked. Okay. Well, we had we have some faculties that were very negative at first. I don't know, remember you, Gastón and I, we were talking with one faculty that thought that would never work. I hate design thinking. I don't know the value of that, what I'm going to do with my students. We have 2 or 3 professors like that. They were from basic science, like biology. I don't remember the other, but they work with molecules and atoms and stuff like that, and they didn't saw the value of design thinking. So what we told them was just wait, live the experience, and at the end of the course, they realized that they can use design thinking. Perhaps they could not just teach design thinking, but they were able to use some of the methods, of course, the mindset, and not only to redesign the teaching techniques, but also to redesign the course, building empathy with their own students. Actually, we have some coaches, and I think one of them is here present, which is Jimena Martinez. She's a big inspiration for me because she redesigned the course using design thinking as a strategy to get to know her own students. So this is another way that you can use that at a professor or as a faculty.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jimena, and thank you for your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your great answers. Actually, the hour is over, and usually we give ourselves 60 minutes and a little bit more for the official part, and that is the part we are recording also, and then make accessible on the website later. Steffi Schwertfeger is taking care of that right now. And after about an hour, we usually end up the official part, and then if our speakers have some minutes left, we could do kind of fireside chat, private chat later, fireside chat like style, and do things like Andre is doing, showing the picture of the big self-driving vehicle he is in right now, and chat with our friends from Chile. So I would officially now end the session here, and our first GDTA Spotlight session with our friends from Universidad Mayor in Chile, with a big applause. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And if Steffi, if you want to show our slide for the next session, that is happening in February the 17th. We'll have again Jean Litka from University of Darden School of Business to talk about their activities at Darden and their learnings through the pandemic, but also on their current research they are working on right now. So the next will be February 17th. And you're all invited. Spread the word. We'll put something online pretty soon on the website as well.